Hello everyone, this is me Rania and this is Stories from the Middle East. In this episode we will continue with the story and the biography of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this story we still in the pre-Islam era. So we will know more about the traditions and the culture of Arabs in the pre-Islam era. And this is a very surprising story. As we mentioned in the last episode, the well of Zamzam, which disappeared when the Arab placed idols in the Kaaba, remained buried under the sand. Thus, for many years, the people of Quraysh had to fetch their water from far away. One day, Abdul Muttalib was very tired of doing this and fell asleep next to the Kaaba. He had a dream in which he was told to dig up Zamzam. When he woke up, he was puzzled because he didn't know what Zamzam was, the well having disappeared many years before he was born. The next day, he had the same dream, but this time he was told where to find the well. Abdul Muttalib had one son at that time, and together they began to dig. The work was so difficult that Abdul Muttalib made an oath to Allah that if one day he were to have 10 sons to help him and stand by him, in return he would sacrifice one of them in Allah's honor. After working for 3 days, they finally found the well of Zamzam. Pilgrims have been drinking from it ever since. The years passed and Abdul Muttalib did have 10 sons. They grew into fine, strong men, and the time came for him to keep his promise to Allah. He told his sons about the promise, and they agreed that he had to sacrifice one of them to see which one it would be. They decided to draw lots, which was the custom of Quraysh when deciding important matters. Abdul Muttalib told each son to get an arrow and write his own name upon it, and then to bring it to him. This they did. After which he took them to the Kaaba, where there was a man whose special task it was to cast arrows and pick one from among them. This man solemnly proceeded to do this. On the arrow he chose was written the name of Abdullah, the youngest and favorite son of Abdul Muttalib. Even so, the father took his son near the Kaaba and prepared to sacrifice him. Many of Quraysh leaders were present, and they became very angry because Abdullah was very young and much loved by everyone. They tried to think of a way to save his life. Someone suggested that the advice of a wise old woman who lived in Yathrib should be sought. And so Abdul Muttalib took his son and went to see if she could decide what to do. Some of the Meccans went with them. And when they got there, the woman asked, "What is the price of a man's life?" They told her 10 camels. For at that time, if one man killed another, his family would have to give 10 camels to the dead man's family in order to keep the peace among them. So the woman told them to go back to the Kaaba and draw lots between Abdullah and 10 camels. If the camels were chosen, they were to be killed and the meat given to the poor. If Abdullah was picked, then 10 more camels were to be added and the lots drawn again and again until they finally fell on the camels. Abdul Muttalib returned to the Kaaba with his son and the people of Mecca. There they started to draw lots between Abdullah and the camels. Starting with 10 camels, Abdul Muttalib prayed to Allah to spare his son, and everyone waited in silence for the result. The choice fell on Abdullah. So his father added 10 more camels. Again the choice fell on Abdullah. So they did the same thing again and again, adding 10 camels each time. Finally, they reached 100 camels, and only then did the lot fall on camels. Abdullah was saved and everyone was very happy. Abdul Muttalib, however, wanted to make sure that this was a true result, so he repeated the draw 3 times and each time it fell on the camels. He even gave thanks to Allah that he had spared Abdullah's life. The camels were sacrificed and there was enough food for the entire city, even the animals and birds. Abdullah grew up to be a handsome young man, and his father eventually chose Amina, the daughter of Wahab, as a wife for him. It was a good match, for she was the finest of Quraysh women, and Abdullah the best of the men. He spent several months with his wife, but then he had to leave her and travel on the caravans to trade in Syria. On his way back to Mecca from Syria, Abdullah became ill and had to stop off in Yathrib to recover. The caravan, however, continued on its way and arrived back in Mecca without him. On hearing of Abdullah's illness, Abdul Muttalib sent another son, Al-Harith, to bring Abdullah back to Mecca, but he was too late. When he arrived in Yathrib, Abdullah was dead. Amina was heartbroken to lose her husband and the father of the child she would soon give birth to. Only Allah knew that this orphan child would one day become a great prophet. And here is the end of our episode for today. So in the next episode, I think you will be excited to hear more and more about our prophet. And we get a glances of the society and the Quraysh tribe traditions and custom back then. And when we continue and know about the story, I think there is a lot of things will change after Islam. So I hope you enjoyed this time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in next episode.